This podcast is brought to you by Thames Con, bringing conventions to Oxford and London, including the Great Conjunction, the first ever dark crystal convention in the world. For more information, visit their website at www.thegreatconjunction.com.
Another world, another time.
In the age of wonder.
You are listening to
Trial by Stone.
Trial by Stone!
Dea, Tea, Dera, Tea.
Your vital essence, the dark crystal.
Kida, Kida.
Come, see for yourself.
Aru, Garu.
How very interesting.
Dea, Tea. I feel the song of Thra in my heart. Now go, you heroes of Thra.
Hello and welcome to Trial by Stone, your vital essence for the Dark Crystal. I'm your host, Philip, and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the show live as part of the Thra A Thon, celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And, doing this whole thing, to encourage everyone to binge watch the show and to get the show sort of trending on Netflix. So it's been a pretty great weekend. We've had lots of things that have been going on. So to introduce everyone that's on the show. So we've got, of course, my co-host, Sydnni. So Sydnni, hi, how are you?
Hi. I'm doing all right. I am a little bit less on fire here in California. Every day that goes by, I'm slightly less on fire. So can only get better from here, right?
Well, that's an important thing to hear that you've been, you're safe, and with everything that's been happening with the fires and Yeah. So many things happening.
Californian listeners out there. What else? Where's everybody at on their episodes for the streaming right now? I'm at episode 8 right now. I had to pause at 8. That's where I left off. Where's everyone else at right now? Where are you at, Philip, in your streaming?
Well, I'm actually going to do it right after, probably right after we do this live show. I've just been
behind.
I know. I've been busy just doing the fan art contest. Of
you
course,
get a pass.
We've been getting so many entries and it, sort of compiling everything up and but I haven't forgotten about doing the whole sort of marathon streaming. So it is something I'm probably going to do right after the show. So it's something I have not forgotten. And, got a few things that are probably going to pop up on the social medias as well. I've got couple little videos that they'll be sharing. So which is all good. And it's been awesome seeing people that are, using the hashtag Thra A Thon to get the word out there. So, of course, with me is Zay from the Great Conjunction or Thames Con, or Thames Con, I should say. How you doing, Zay? I know it's really late for you, so thank you so much for being on, late now and London time.
Yeah, no, this is great. Thank you for having me. I've been in training all week, going to bed really late. So I've been prepped for this and I've had loads of caffeine and loads of sweets. So I'm either really excited about the Thra A Thon or maybe just a little bit high on sugar. Who knows? But it's all good.
Cool. That's awesome. And with me is, the guy who's, sort of came up with the idea of the Thra A Thon. And of course, it is Sean from the Angle Eternity Facebook group. So Sean, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome. And with more guests as well, we got Eliane. So Eliane, who most of us will probably know her for her cosplay for Gekksard.
Gekksard.
Yeah.
Gekksard.
Yes, yeah. So
with those beautiful ginger locks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it.
Yeah.
You're gonna change it. I love the ginger locks.
Yeah.
It's too bright.
Yeah, maybe just a little dingied up, but I love the red.
He's too much fabulous.
Yeah.
He has to be a bit less fabulous.
He's extra.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It was awesome actually just seeing that cosplay and with your creature, especially back when the Great Conjunction back early in the year. So it was so great. And also last but not least is of course Jason Delgado from the Great Conjunction YouTube channel. How you doing, Jason?
Doing good. At first I thought you were gonna say the Great YouTube channel. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, no, yeah. We've been having fun today. Earlier for the Thra A Thon, we ran. Sean and I ran a trivia, and it went really great. We have our first official Dark Crystal trivia Thra A Thon first place winner. So he holds the belt. One thing I was really excited that he did was that he had already tweeted out like I'm the trivia champ, and he tweeted out that
yeah.
after Trial by Stone. So yeah, doing good. To answer Sydney's question, I'm on episode like 4 right now.
Yeah.
My actual watching, but when I'm not watching, I'm just letting it stream on another device just to boost up the rating. So
yeah.
I literally had it playing in the bedroom. I just had it on all entire day while I was going about my life.
Yep, same here. Oh yeah.
Every so often I'd have to pop back in because Netflix would be like, "Are you still watching?" I'm like, "Yes, obviously." Like maybe I'm not physically in there, but yes. Yeah. Jeez, rude, Netflix.
Yeah. I'm right at the end, like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yeah. That head just exploded.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
I'm at the moment where Rianne is after Dit. More or less. Yeah.
Poor
Very
thing.
sad moment.
Yeah. Hopefully we get it to be continued for that. I think that's the thing most people want to see a resolution for.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Still want to know about if we're going to get that second season. I know at the moment we still don't know, and I think it's probably going to be once the Emmys. It's awesome that we, got the nomination, that Age of Resistance got nominated for Outstanding Children's Program, and we just got our fingers crossed, whether the win might sort of possibly secure a second season or not. There's sort of, got our fingers crossed. But it's been great that we've still been getting a lot of Dark Crystal content through other means. Of course, we've had the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance comics. Actually, I wanted to know if any of you have been reading the comics and what you've been, just your overall thoughts about them, actually, just out of curiosity.
I have been reading.
Oh, yeah, the current run that's going through Age of Resistance, it's obviously going to be 12 issues total. The first 4 were about Ordon getting the dual glaive for the first time, and it has a lot to do with Madra Farah as well. Well, she's not Madra Farah yet, or is she? And then the second one deals with Hup primarily, which is that's really fun. Yes, Hup and Barfinius. Yes, who is a very interesting character. That one was great. I've loved both. The one thing I've liked that they've done is that they've had different artists and different writers for each arc, and it's kept it fresh. Everyone does their best work. The artwork inside and covers have all been great. The storylines have been fun. I've enjoyed them, and the current one going on with a young Madra Mayrin, is rather interesting. It's not complete yet, but there's definitely some interesting things you get in it. So far, I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, especially the Madra Mayrin's arc has been very interesting. There are some bizarre things, but it's dark. It is very Dark Crystal-y at the same time. So it's it's been a lot of fun with those comics. So
one thing I really loved about that comic is how it started with something we didn't get to see in the show. When they talked about like, okay, we're going to do a trial by air and we're going to go through Ronup's Pass, and the issue starts, or that arc starts with her going through Ronup's Pass. It's really cool.
Yeah, that made me super happy.
Yeah, it was a nice little shout out, because I think originally, there was going to be like a full on sequence within the show, but then of course due to budget reasons, they're just like, well, how about we just make Saladin just say take the crown, take it.
Nope.
Nope. Which was really interesting. It's still worked out great.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So
they got to leave us something for season 2 anyway. So
yes, yeah. So of course, we're pretty much 1 year. It's been almost a year since the release of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And I mean, that's the other thing I'd love to know about what was sort of all your experiences like watching the show for the first time? I know for me that I felt like for me watching it for the first time, like, because the way I did it is I watched the 3 episodes on Friday and then did 7 on Saturday. And to me, it felt like it was like a dream essentially, sort of that surrealness of, wow, this is Dark Crystal, 10 episodes, puppets and everything. That there was like a lot to take in. And then sort of after repeating viewings, it's like, oh, wow, there's so much, more than just, watching it for the first time. Love to know all your thoughts. Yeah.
I kind of had a similar reaction. I remember thinking that it was really the first time that we had seen something from Jim Henson that was kind of geared towards an older audience in Farscape, and that it had the same production value, even greater production value and special effects. So that was definitely exciting to see. And I also just remember feeling the magic is back. Because having grown up with the original film and having it being such an important part of my childhood, to see kind of a return to that world, it sort of felt like going home in a strange way. I don't know if that like makes sense or resonates for people, but it definitely kind of had that feeling of kind of like a homecoming. It was really great. It kind of brought back all of those nostalgic feelings, and immediately you just felt like you were immersed in that world again, and it was really special.
Is there a part of you that was like a little bit afraid before you started it? Like, what if it's not I'm...
with that first promo where they showed a little bit of the test reel with Skektek, and he had kind of the futuristic armor on, I was like, oh, that doesn't quite look right. And I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be on board with this. I hope so, but we'll see. And, fingers crossed. And then as soon as they released the official trailer, I was like, okay, I'm not worried at all. This looks fantastic.
That trailer definitely eased all of our anxieties for sure.
It did. For me, there's kind of a parallel between that trailer and the first trailer for the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, because I also grew up as a huge Tolkien fan. And to see that Tolkien's work was going to be adapted again, I was like, oh no, what if they screw it up? And it was kind of that same sense of, oh, okay, I'm not just able to take a breath of relief, but I'm really pumped for this now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know that was probably like the longest. I felt like waiting for the show was probably like the longest sort of couple of years. Waiting for the show, wanting to know more information about the show, and like I even remember we sort of talked about many times about that New York Comic Con panel that that people in the audience got to see a bit of a sneak peek, at the show, and they never really released it anywhere. But yeah, I mean, I think the teaser trailer, really, that was like, yeah, this was definitely going to be something special. But I mean, for me, it would have been with myself and Jamie when we got to visit Louis back in April last year, and sort of invited us and, showed us a couple of little things here and there. And, I think, after seeing Louis and heading back to Jamie's place, we're just like, this is going to be something like really incredible stuff. And they really did pull it off. It's such the biggest ambitious puppetry show, and with all the so many different themes, so many layers with the show. Really? That it is more than just a children's show,
But really, what impressed me the most is that they can do it with puppets. Right. First, I was like, fun, Dark Crystal show. It will be fun. It will be great, like the first movie, and then I was those teams. Those action scenes with puppets.
Yeah.
Emotional scene. I cried.
Yeah.
There were so much emotional scenes with glass eyes, with puppets.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, it had been going in production for such a long time and went through many different stages. From being animation and then to potentially sort of testing out between a you know, a live Skeksis versus a CGI Gelfling. But I think really, you know, we're very glad it didn't go that way. I think
Elsa.
Yeah.
It's Elsa as a Gelfling. Elsa from Frozen as a Gelfling.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it did look like that. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and I was absolutely ready to let that go.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, and that's a big thing. It was, you know, Netflix, they were the ones that really pushed the puppets, you know. It's like, okay, we love the ideas, you know, we love the concept of the show, and I know you guys wanted to do it as animation, but, you know, why not puppets, you know, sort of thing. So
isn't that interesting? I'm going to get slightly spicy, but isn't it interesting that Netflix, they were the ones who at first were like, you know, we have to do it the right way. We're pushing for puppets. Let's do it, like, all in. And then now we're all waiting for Netflix to, like, tell us what's happening. Like, we're all waiting on them now. Like, they were so aggressive in the beginning to make sure we got this done. And now they're crickets. Guys.
It has been pretty weird, because I know usually Netflix, they generally would announce, you know, within, I guess, like the 3 months, whether the show's been renewed or cancelled, and it has been just silence. And it has been a really strange thing, like, that we haven't heard anything, and it's been a year, you know, since the show has come out, and there hasn't been a peep of word, you know, like we don't know whether it's actually already been given the green light and they're just not saying anything, or, you know, we just don't know. But I mean, that's the thing. I think probably the Emmys is, you know, I think whatever happens with the Emmys, I think hopefully we should really get an answer, like, sometime after the Emmys.
And Netflix has a history of canceling things, and they usually aren't quiet about it. Usually it's just kind of like, oh, hey, that show that you've been watching, it's done now. And so the fact that they haven't said that, I still think that that's really promising. I think that says the negotiations are ongoing. So I think there is a lot of hope in that. But
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think the show's like super different though than a lot of the shows they made, because you can see from all the producers and everyone that worked at Netflix, it was like a labor of love. So they make loads of shows and it's all quite transactional and commercial, but for these guys, I don't think they were thinking about how much they were going to spend or how they were going to do it or if it made any money, or I just don't think they cared. I think they just thought, you know what, this is going to be amazing and we're all really big fans and we just want to make it, and this is just something. And they probably get 1 in a million things that they actually get to go, yeah, let's make this, and don't worry about it if it's not like a massive commercial success. So for them, I think it's probably a case of really wanting to continue the story for them as fans and for us as fans. But obviously they've got to look at the kind of the commercial side of it. So there'll be a little bank manager somewhere going, oh, I'm not sure we can make another one of these. And then all the other guys are really passionate, like, oh, but please, we really, really want to, and the fans really want it. And that argument could go on for a long time. And we've seen it happen before with lots of projects. I mean, you know, that go on and go on. So my thinking is that I'm hopeful. I'm feeling really positive that the, you know, the passionate people will win over at some point. But I think that probably the kind of the pandemic and everything that's happened, that's made production slow down. Netflix will have taken a big hit. They will have lost money. So they're not going to be looking at dipping into their pockets for something that is a passion project. They're going to be thinking, what kind of trashy films can we chuck out there that are going to get loads of hits? Because we know that Netflix is really good at that, and they get
like another kissing booth.
another 10 kissing booths. They'll have loads of those, and then we might get another season. So I'm feeling like, you know, I'm still feeling positive. I'm not personally giving up hope.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do think that, like, it's how long did it take for it to even Age of Resistance to come about? You know, like, there's a very long process, and it was a labor of love. And we know how beautiful Dark Crystal stuff is, and all of it. I mean, even the original film took a lot longer than a normal film, and it was passion projects for them. And, you know, one thing we love as Dark Crystal fans is high quality, good. You know, like, the visuals are stunning and the storytelling is great. I mean, we really got the best of the best with the show. I went into it not seeing the trailers or things like that, like you guys are talking about. I just went into it blindly. Like, yeah, I'm not a fan of trailers. The only one I saw was that Skek Tech going back, you know, the one that came out like a year and a half before or whatever,
Yeah,
which wasn't even part of the show. You know, it's just a test. So yeah, I just went into it blindly. I stayed away from everything, which is really hard to do.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Have like a Dark Crystal channel. But yeah, no, it stunned me to look beautiful, and yeah, I'm willing to wait however long it takes to. Yeah, I also am hopeful that they haven't said it's canceled, but I also just it does take time for quality. So
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think I commented on this earlier on Facebook when someone was mentioning it, but I think if anyone's feeling really impatient, all they need to do is raise probably around, I think the first one cost about 100 million. So let's say you raise 50 million and you hand that over to Netflix. They're probably not going to say no. So if anyone's being super impatient and you're really rich, you're a millionaire, you know what you've got to do. In fact, you probably don't even need Netflix. Make it yourself.
There you go.
Whether we need to start a GoFundMe, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know what, if it gets too desperate, that might not be a bad shout.
I'm not saying that we didn't put together an infographic with like how much Kickstarter fans would have to raise, but I may have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of us have seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Checkbooks out.
Yeah, because I mean, like the show, it is like unlike any other show that's really out there. You know, this full-on puppet show, you know, just full of magic, essentially. I mean, for me, I'm just hoping that if anything, if it at least been writing, whether it's like, you know, whether they've been, you know, just doing a little bit of writing, or at least having some story ideas that they can sort of, you know, while we're in this sort of pandemic, you know, with the whole things that have been happening around. So at least, you know, if they've been doing at least a little bit of writing, I think that'd be, you know, that's a good sign for me. Yeah.
One of the podlings, you know, they could take one of the podlings, kind of do something similar to what they did with the Fraggle Rock shorts. You know, you just have one puppeteer in there doing the voice, doing everything, you know, up against the green screen. You could still build the audience and generate more views through that.
Yeah, because I mean, thinking about that, I know they did that with Hup teaches podling, and that was such a fun little
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teaching us words like Zenpo, that's awesome, and there was quite a lot of other words out there. So you know, I know they're on the social media somewhere, if you can find them. So, but they were great little videos. So. But I know, of course, the Henson Company have been very busy with so many shows that are, you know, with Earth to Ned that's coming out very soon, and on Disney Plus, and yeah, bringing back Fraggle Rock. So I know they've had a lot of, you know, these productions that have been happening.
I don't know if you saw that, but there is a Japanese video of Hup dancing, you know. It's like the same setting than Hup, which is modeling, but he's dancing in Japanese.
That's so cute. I have to look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could do more stuff with Hup for sure.
Yeah, because I know there was like that exercise video with Hup. Is this something different, or is this? Yeah. I'll have to check that out for sure. Yeah.
Research time.
Yeah.
Yes. So no, which has been really cool. And I mean, Sean, I mean, this is, you know, your first time being on the show, and actually I might as well ask you, Sean, like, how did the idea sort of came to you about, you know, to do this sort of Thra A Thon, this sort of marathon? I know you're the one that sort of started it all. Love to hear, yeah.
Things. Part of it was that I was at the time wasn't working. I had about 3 months there where I wasn't working, and after the first 3 weeks, I just began to go stir crazy. I just was so bored out of my mind, and I think, like a lot of us, was spending way too much time watching the news, watching what was going on social media, and I was thinking, you know, there's a lot of conflict in the world right now. There's a lot of infighting. There are people that are arguing over really trivial things. What could we do that would kind of bring people together with a sense of community and kind of a common goal? And I thought, well, you know, the Henson community really, I feel like, kind of already has a lot of those values. You know, we're all about inclusivity. We're all about compassion. We're all about reaching out to one another in times of need. And so I thought, you know, we all really want a season 2. We all really loved watching season 1. Why not bring everybody together and see if we can just use this downtime to de-stress, kind of come together as sort of a family unit and see if we can support the show and get season 2 made.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, the first one that we sort of did it back in April this year. So this is sort of our second sort of, big Thra A Thon to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. And I think, they'll I mean, it does seem like that there might be another one sort of coming in the works later on in the year. So, which is really exciting. So
might have something to do with the 38th anniversary of the film.
Oh, yeah, something like that. Yeah, sometime in December. So no, that's all good. And yeah, I'm just trying to think. I think also we might go around, being the 1 year anniversary. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you, sort of maybe like your favorite scenes, your favorite scene or your favorite moment from the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So I might start with you, Sydnni.
Oh my goodness. Did you not see my face just now?
Handball to...
Oh my goodness.
You.
Oh, Lottie. Okay, well, the instinctual thing, like I'm probably going to look back and go, no, it was this, it was that. But like the first thing that comes into my mind when I think of my favorite moment is still just the puppet show within a puppet show. That entire scene with the backstory that was brilliant because we as an audience already knew the information that they were, the exposition that they were giving to the main characters. We knew that, but it was still enthralling, and it was still like the way that they chose to do this puppet show within a puppet show, and to feature that amazing puppeteer from YouTube with his finger puppets, and so they updated it. Like they took something that they already had us sold on, which is the art of puppetry, but then they like elevated it and modernized it a little bit for new audiences to enjoy. And it was so meta without being too obvious and grownish, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they can be really like, wink, wink, see what we did there, puppetry, and you sit there and be like, yeah. But it wasn't like that at all. It was very organic and very just moving. I could watch that scene over and over, and I ended up using it for a class. I was doing a workshop with a class on character building at Orange County High School for the Arts, and I featured that scene about like how to do exposition and what it tells you about the world just in that one little scene. And by the end of it, I had a classroom full of 7th graders who all wanted to know everything about the Dark Crystal just from that one scene. So
wow.
We all loved it as fans who already loved the movie, but a bunch of 7th graders who'd never heard of it see that one scene and come away wanting to get more. So that shows how successful that scene was. So yeah, I'm sticking with it. That's my favorite scene right there.
And you see the diversity of puppetry in that scene. You see the shadow puppets like this one.
Exactly.
Shadow puppets. The Barnaby Jackson finger puppets.
Barnaby, yeah. So good.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites too.
On top of that, be a good teacher and introduce your kids to Dark Crystal.
Put on that puppet show.
I maybe do that all the time. Not sorry at all, parents. Your kids all like puppets now. You're welcome.
Yeah.
New fans.
No, that's cool. And I mean, actually, I was actually thinking about with the fan. Sorry, I was just trying to find how to here we go. Oh no, I just thought I wanted to share a screen of one of the entries, sort of thinking about the puppet show, and to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. And I sort of love this image by Isabel, which I'll just share that if you can see that.
Oh my goodness!
Happy first anniversary. Which I really love this with with Gekksard and Ergo but they got like the finger puppets, like all the characters. So
that's brilliant. That's perfect.
So you can see. So
is that Omri down there?
It is.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That has my vote.
Yeah, automatically made it my favorite too. I was like, oh, I need that little Omri. I need it. So cute.
Yeah. So
I don't know Omri.
Yeah. So I know there's been we had so many entries from the that fan art contest. So I know we're still in the process of sort of judging all these entries. So definitely stay tuned on our social medias as we sort of announce the winners and prizes and all that kind of stuff. So which has been really really cool, and it's just the art that we've been seeing from so many people. All these different categories have just been outstanding, to say the least. Every one of them are just great in their own way, got their own take. Oh, is that Eliane?
We're gonna win this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the prizes we have. Check it out.
I'm not appearing. Where am I? Ah, yes.
There it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I want one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So those are one of the things that some of the winners might win. My brain is definitely melted from looking at all of these amazing entries and trying to pick favorites out of them. This fandom is so creative and so talented, just across the board. Awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Dark Crystal, is that it's just that creativity breeds more creativity, breeds more creativity. It's just an ongoing cycle. So I love it.
It's the opposite of the darkening.
Yep.
The creating.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Do not trademark that.
The kids that are watching it now may end up be creating more Dark Crystal, 20, 30 years down the road. I mean, we've seen it happen with Louis. We've seen it happen with Toby. So many of the people that grew up loving this went from being fans to being the creators.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really powerful. There's something empowering about seeing people really pursue their dreams in a way that you can actually kind of track it. It was that I was, at the time, wasn't working. I had about 3 months.
Oh.
You went back in time. How'd that happen?
Sorry. I was just trying. I was just trying to check out some of the comments that people have been posting on our Facebook page. So it was one of those things where it's like I was hitting play and then
We did a time warp.
That was strange. I was hearing myself talking.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My bad. But yeah, it's but I was just reading some comments like, Nikita Earl, said that, that's my favorite scene and really made me forget that I was watching puppets. And bravo to the puppeteers was the fight scene between the hunter and Rian and his father. And that was such a great a scene. Actually really that whole episode 4, that was a mammoth episode from a point of view of so many characters that they introduced in that episode alone. Was Gekksard, and then I think Urva. I think it was Urva's first appearance in that episode. Naya and Kylan, and so many characters.
Little broth boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is actually one of the things actually watching the show again, and especially in episode 10 that I noticed, because of course with the writers they had to, with the ADR, I think they wrote at least 10,000 lines, so you can hear some lines in the background. And I think after the battle of the Stone and the Wood fight, and you hear sort of an exchange between Kylan and Naya, and Kylan's just were you scared? I was scared. Sort of thing.
Precious boy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But hey, I was just thinking, about the broth. Even ideas for shows you could almost do a cooking show with Kylan. I think that would be pretty neat.
That would be very entertaining. I was gonna say, someone on YouTube put out a Dark Crystal, but it's only Broth Boy. It's only Kylan, so it's all his scenes just back to back. So it's only a couple of minutes, but man, it just makes you laugh because he's just so hey.
Yeah.
It's great if you just need 4 minutes of straight laughing. It's great.
Yeah, it's also interesting if you've read the Jolie novels and more intimate details about Kylan and more about his character. So it's extra amusing when you consider all of that. player knowledge versus character knowledge sort of juxtaposition there. But yeah, it's Kylan's, he's my boy. I love him.
Yeah.
Who haven't we heard from yet? Jason, what was your favorite scene?
Favorite scene's hard. I'm gonna probably go with. I was also fascinated by all the puppet styles and everything they did, because it wasn't just like, you know, this kind of puppet or being inside of Skeksis. Like the Bon Raku that they did with Lore, that absolutely fascinated me. So the first time I saw Lore, I just like, oh, cool, they made him look like stones, and I figured it was CG. But, you know, but then sometimes the movement, I was like, they did a good job kind of making it look stop motion-y or like someone's pulling and then when I saw the behind the scenes, I mean, that blew me away, because it was great stuff. So definitely the first scene with Lore, he's also just so original and just very Thra, just so otherly. But it's like, that totally, I could totally picture that in Thra, of course. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, because I mean,
love the fact that
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna add the fact that his recording that Gekksard left, where he had the little record scratch on his arm.
That was awesome.
Brilliant. Whoever's idea that was. Just
so good.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love the analog
anyway.
sounding this.
So cool.
Because I remember there was an interview with Brian Froud, and I think he mentioned that, you know, it would have been something that Jim wanted to sort of, would have loved to see in Dark Crystal, like, so this rock monster, or, you know, like this rock creature. And that, you know, they're able to pull it off, you know, with Age of Resistance. And, you know, kudos to, you know, all the puppeteers and, you know, people that brought Lore to life, and especially with D-Neg as well, because I think that, you know, there was, I think, interviews, and they talked about how they even sort of had to study, you know, the puppeteering movements so that it didn't, you know, so the movement of Lore wasn't so smooth, you know, like that smooth sort of CGI that you would see these days. So sort of, you know, keeping true to the original intent, you know, as a puppet, and just that puppety like movements, which is really awesome.
I was going to say the same about that. I think the same Brian Froud interview you mentioned, Philip, and I was there at the BFI and I saw that, and it was brilliant. I just love all of Brian's talks, because I think he's just so like unapologetically himself, and there is just no filter. You get 100%, you know, what you see is what you get. And, you know, he was explaining about how they wanted to do it all CGI, and how he would just sort of sit there and growl and grumble and just really look unhappy. It was like, no, you can't do this. And I think, you know, when Brian Froud says no, you've got to listen. So I'm glad that he kind of grumbled and put his foot down, and you know, we got the kind of real life puppet, because it just looks amazing. And like Brian always says, there's just so much life in something that is real, that is operated by a real person. And I think all of the puppeteers sort of keep echoing this, that, you know, when you've got your hand in something and you're putting your personality, it changes it. It is like magic. It's crazy, really.
Yeah, it is. So just like every episode and just every moment, you know, I'm just like, how the heck did they, you know, how the Thra do they pull some of the stuff that they did off, and you know, even with, you know, with Gelfling flying, you know, seeing Deet and Brea flying, and then towards the end of the episodes as well. So yeah, it's been so cool. I'm just loving just seeing Eliane.
Gekksard is killing it. Absolutely killing it.
I don't know if the live can see me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What does Gekksard's voice sound like for those of us who weren't at the con?
I'm still finding a voice for him, but I don't know if I perform him. I think another person will be doing his voice.
Mm-hmm. Do you have somebody in mind?
Yeah.
Are you volunteering, Sid?
I mean, I could. I just, you know, I would like to know the inspiration, like who to pull from. Because right now I get Danny Elfman vibes, because that hair is just like, if there are any like Oingo Boingo fans out there.
Totally, yeah.
Kind of a deep cut. Danny Elfman's sort of my non-Jim Henson Lord and Savior. But yeah, look up some videos of Danny Elfman, and that hair is 100% that vibe is what I get.
What's this? Da, 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 da. What's this? What's this? Da, 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 da.
There's essence everywhere. Amazing. What was your favorite scene, Eliane? In the whole show, what was your favorite scene?
It changed a lot. But for a long time, it was the carriage scene with Rian and Skekso, because I love the dialogue. But now I think that it's the Almodra funeral.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was a great, great.
Because it's a pause in a plot, just a character saying what they are feeling.
Yeah.
And I love the Saladin moment with her quote when she set the fire on her mother.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it wasn't
very
enough.
Emotional.
Yeah,
very emotional.
That gives me chills every time. I've watched it so many times, and every time it gives me chills. It's so good.
Yeah.
Now it's that scene.
Yeah, that entire scene definitely had me
entire
crying
scene
like an absolute bludgeoned little baby. The whole scene, I was like.
And what I love the most is you see the subtle movements in the puppets. You know when when Rian and Bria are telling their stories, their relationship with their parents. There are so many little movements, and you see the emotion inside them, and
they have
the
souls.
movement of her head.
I was just about to say that, Sid. The moment when they all start to sing together, there's a level of emoting there that happens that's so subtle and yet so powerful at the same time.
They have souls. Those puppets literally, the puppeteers and the voice actors both, like they all combined, and the artisans who crafted the puppeteers. Like it's such a collaborative effort and that specific cocktail of artistry from all of those different talents pool together to create this creature that has a soul the minute the right person picks them up. It's not just an object. It's a living piece of art that is alive. Just amazing. That scene is the best example of that. Have we heard Jason's yet? Favorite scene? I don't remember. Who else is? No, Zay. We haven't heard Zay's favorite scene.
Oh, it's so hard. I'm gonna like rattle through some favorites because they're the ones that sort of resonated with me. I absolutely love it when Hup says Hup won't die, because I suffer from motion sickness and I'm so with you, Hup. I so get it. So now every time I go on a plane or anything, I'm like, oh, say won't die. I just thought that was so funny, and I could really relate to that. I love the relationship between Freya and Tavra, because I'm really close to my siblings and I'm really close to my sister. When they say about, the bonds of sisterhood can't be broken, that did give me a little tear in my eye. I thought that was lovely. And I love everything, every scene with Gekksard, the Scroll Keeper. I just love the voice that Neil does. I love the puppetry. I love his little quick moments and
sad. So sad.
I just
Neil Sterenberg is the best.
Fantastic. And everything. And when they're in the carriage and he's like, oh, you were never beautiful, kind of thing. Like everything was kind of perfect. And I would just I want to see more of him. He's one of the Skeksis that I just want to see so much more of. So I'm excited and hopeful that if we do get another season, that we might see more of him.
Yeah, those would also be fun little shorts too, to have like little sidebar stories of each of the Skeksis, like what they do, just a candid moment of them wandering around in the castle doing their own thing.
You read the Skekla comics?
No.
There is an artist named on DeviantArt named Skekla, and she does a lot of things like that. Comics with little slice of life.
Oh, nice.
For the Skeksis. It's awesome.
Oh,
check her. Go check that.
Yeah.
Skekla. Okay, absolutely.
Thank
you.
And I was just trying to think of, I'm
putting the link on Facebook.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, post on. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thanks.
Fist bump.
Phew. So I was just trying to think for me, like favorite scenes. I mean, besides of course the whole puppet scene, that is probably one of my all-time favorites. But I think like when I was watching the show for the first time, I think my first sort of like laugh out loud moment was probably in episode 2 with the seeing Deet, and she encounters a fizz gig, you know, gives a fizz gig a belly rub, and then the other fizz gig, you know, comes in
representing fizz gigs today, by the way.
And, I've actually, like, I'd love to know like what the fizz gigs are actually saying. So I'm sort of tempted to release like here's an English version of what I think they're sort of arguing
like
about.
Little subtitles underneath.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I got some ideas with that one. So, but that was the one that made me laugh out really loud. Just, I think it's probably just because seeing the fizz gigs, because they were like my favorites from the original film, the one that started it all, of course. But then I guess in episode 3, when we got to Stone in the Wood with Deet and Hup, and then, you know, we see Deet, you know, falling down, and, you know, knowing that the Stonewood are saying not nice things to Deet, to say the least, and, you know, Hup got really angry and, you know, took action. So, you know, with that whole fight scene, that little moment where it's just like, you know, just never imagined a podling would, you know, sort of beat up a gelfling, but it was so great. Like, just the
way
way
he goes flying across. He like launches himself across to protect Deet. I love that.
Yeah. Our paladin.
We lost Jason, by the way. He has he said there's a huge storm and they lost power. So fingers crossed for Jason. Do not get lost in the storm. Stay safe out there.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. And of course, I mean, and I'll just say thanks, Jason, for being on the show. I don't know if you'll be able to get on, but for those that don't know, you could definitely check out his YouTube channel with the Dark Crystal Conjunction, which I'll probably be watching that actually afterwards as well, watching that trivia contest. And I'd be curious to, you know, even want to know like how I would go in that contest. So yeah. So that was a lot of fun. So no, big thanks to him, and of course Sean for with that trivia contest. So no, which was really cool.
Huge help. I am not the most technically apt person, as Sydney can tell you. It took me a heck of a long time to get this background up and going. But yeah, Jason was a rock star with helping to get that trivia up and going and doing the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing, that guy.
Yeah. So
I would say that probably for me, my favorite scene or scenes would probably be the introductory stuff with Deet and Hup. Just the things when they're wandering through the forest on their way to Stonewood. There's so many wonderful character moments there. Hup is hilarious, but there's something also really sweet about how he treats Deet. He's not only protective of her, he really tries to cushion her feelings in so many scenes. When she starts to wander in the wrong direction because she's just following some random star, and he kind of corrects her on that. I think that's so cute.
Yeah, I love that moment where he's teaching her the difference between the star and the moon. And I'm a huge moon nerd myself, so I was like, yeah, shout out to the moon. But I agree with you. I love the balance of comedy, but also like warmth and innocence that Hup has. And we talked on the podcast before on our episode about Hup, how important those moments are where they meet each other, how the fact that they don't speak the same language, but they still manage to communicate and to be patient with one another and to still not let the fact that they have a language and a cultural barrier get in the way of the fact that they still are after the same goal and can join the same team and continue their journey together. And they're not put off by the fact that they have a language barrier at all. It's something, a really important lesson for both adults and children to see right now.
Well, and there's something great about when he essentially pulls out his spoon and presents it to her, and she kind of giggles and laughs, and you know that she thinks it's funny and amusing, but it's not mean-spirited. She's kind of accepting him in that moment and saying, oh, this is cute, I love you. And you just sort of feel this bonding sort of happen right away when he's like, it's a sword, and he's waving it, and she's like, oh, he thinks his spoon is a sword. You know, he's willing to put his life on the line to protect me. How could I not love this little guy?
Yeah, and she doesn't talk down to him about it either. She's like, oh, it's a sword. I got you. Cool, you're a paladin. Nice.
There's no judgment. There's no condescension. It's just like, you're kind of already my comrade. And there's just something really great about that.
Yep.
Yeah, Hup really, for me, like, stole the show, like, in some parts. Or, he was definitely one of my favorite characters. And, I'm just sort of hoping that we get more of Hup in future stories. Because I know last time we saw Hup, he got knocked out with Skekmal and, with his bandages. So it'll be interesting if he'll get back to join our Gelfling heroes. Should we get more?
And the Podlings.
And the Podlings too. Yeah. Well, he'll be the hero of all the Podlings as well.
Yeah.
But they're all one, so yeah. All heroes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. What do you guys all hope for? If we were allowed to pitch one idea for season 2, like, this is what we want to see. What's the one thing you wish would happen in season 2?
That's hard. I feel like so many of us, because it has been a full year since the first season came out, and there hasn't been really any clue as to whether we will get a second season. I feel like so many of us are already kind of creating our own fan versions in our head.
Yeah. Well, let's put reality aside for a minute. Just what would you want?
See, I think it's going to sound really inconstant, but I think as soon as they announce it, I'd kind of be open to anything. I'd be willing to put my heart out there and say, this is exactly what I want to have happen. And as soon as they say, oh, okay, season 2's happening, I would totally push it aside. But I think I would love to see some of the characters that were introduced in the comics. I would love to see Ronip come back and actually play a role. I feel very strongly that he's kind of the force behind Gekksard becoming the heretic, and that's why Gekksard even was called a heretic before it kind of officially became his title, because Ronip is known as the heretic in the creation myth. I would love to see Evo, the adventure historian from the Dark Crystal Tactics game. I think he would be an amazing character to see on screen, because he's kind of the Indiana Jones of the Gelfling world. Jason and I have joked about that a lot, and I think fans would absolutely be bonkers over him, and I think that would be great. And I'd also love to see Lara and Neffy come in, as well as Omri, because those are characters that we haven't seen outside of the comics or the books at all.
Yeah.
So those things would all be on my list somewhere.
Yeah. Omri is absolutely my favorite character from the books. So
yeah, Jason's
yeah, I really, really want to see an Omri puppet, and to see if they show the bond between he and Naya in the way that we see it in the books. So that's probably my choice, would be to see Omri, more of Naya in general, just more of Naya Kylan and like the party from the Jolie novels. And then also, more Annika, more Sifa. I'm all about the Sifa.
Yes.
And Annika was one of my very favorite characters from the book, and I loved her puppet and her performance. It made me really happy, but there wasn't enough. more Annika.
I want more dozens too.
Oh yeah,
the dozens.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, we know Rakia survived, so hoping. It was actually weird. I don't think we actually saw Rakia in the last episode. I know he was knocked out, but I don't think he wasn't killed. He was just right.
They didn't show us for sure, and that can't be an accident.
Yeah. So I know. I think there's lots of like Gelfling clans to explore. I know, for example, like the Sprytons, that was sort of a bit left out. Like we saw the clan, we saw the leader, but not as much as So for me, the Sprytons would be one would love to see a little bit more of. But I think story-wise, I think the Wall of Destiny, for me, I think that is such a one of the big, you know, even though we don't know, but you know, the Wall of Destiny would have to be like one of the biggest events to happen, you know, in Dark Crystal lore. That I think to seeing that would be amazing. You know, it'll be interesting, you know, how they go about it, because I think in sort of the lore, I think it was like all the 7 clans, or you know, the leaders of the 7 clans or something like that. They all, you know, went on a hill, and whether they did a dream space kind of scenario to, you know, create the Wall of Destiny. I know there's, I just love to see how we see that, you know, with Puppets live action with the show. I think for me, that's, you know, in regards to story, I think the Wall of Destiny is probably the biggest thing that I'd like. You gotta have the Wall of Destiny, because even like when we got through episode 10 and the show was over, I'm like, oh my god, like there's still so much, you know, that we didn't get to see, because I think I'm like, for me, I always sort of thought, oh, this is how we're going to get 10 episodes. It's going to be this one story essentially, but you know, the way they left it open with you know, with a bit of the Gotham, you know, the creation of the Gotham, and that, you know, the potential for, you know, the Gotham Wars to become part of season 2 is it's the natural next step in the story. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I
don't think we'll see the creation of the Wall of Destiny till I think that'll be literally like the very like last scene before, then that's it until the film. Whether we get a second season and that's it, or we get a third season, I'm still confident that we'll get 2 more seasons. And just like with any trilogy, in the second, you know, installment, it's all about the character development. Think of all the trilogies, you know, the movies that we love. So in the first one, they give you loads of action, they introduce you to some characters, but actually they kind of want to grip you. So there's a lot that goes on. Then the second, you know, it's that little middle section of let's slow everything down, let's get to know these characters more, let's get to love them more. And then we go into the third season, which is like, up the ante, up the action, and then let's leave it on that Wall of Destiny, just all looking fresh, all that's created, and then we go to you know, the film. And I think that would be quite a cool way to leave it. But also find out who Jen and Kira's parents are. We need to know. I know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, Dark Crystal works in 3, so like, you know, having 3 seasons would be amazing. But I mean,
does the movie count as one of those 3, or the series?
No, it doesn't count. Doesn't count. No. I need 3. I want 3. Netflix, hear me. I need 3. What you got to do, Netflix, is just kill off loads of characters in the second season, and then the budget will be a lot less for the third season. You see, with all that, those famous actors costing loads of money doing the voices.
Oh my goodness.
In terms of the narrative, that actually, because if you look at a lot of the trilogies, the second one is always the darkest. The first one introduces the threat. The second one is the one that raises the stakes, where you usually have the tragedy, whether it's, you know, someone dying, or you know, going to war, or Han Solo being frozen in carbonite. I mean, there's so many things that usually happen in the second one. And then the third one is kind of the reintroduction of hope. And so if we think about it in those terms, narratively, I think the Gotham Wars would be the obvious next step. It would really be the genocide of the Gelfling. And then the third season would really be about, you know, the parents of Jen and Kira coming together, and how are we going to preserve what's left of our race?
Yes, because in an interview, they were Jeffrey Addis and Will Matthews. They were saying that in season 2, the characters will be apart. Yeah. And they will be kind of reflecting about themselves, you know. And Brea will be in the resistance. Deet away fighting with her darkening. And Rian trying to help Deet and cope with his own grief too, because Mira, Orden, a lot of things.
Yeah. Poor Rian hasn't had a chance to really grieve.
No.
I mean, nobody really has. They had their one moment at the funeral, but they need
Rianne's whole story arc in the show has basically been 2020. You know, I mean, he loses Mira, he loses his dad, he loses Dee. It's 2000
worst life.
Rianne's 2020.
Worst life.
Poor guy. He's gonna be Batman by the end of the arc.
Yeah. So no, I mean, you know, that's the thing. You know, we're still waiting to see what the future holds, and still got our fingers crossed. So I think, you know, we might wrap it up for this show, for our live Thra A Thon. So for anyone that watched this on Facebook, really appreciate it. You're watching the show, and of course, you know, the show will be, you know, anyone can watch it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think really the big thing is, you know, fingers crossed for that Emmy win, which would be towards the end
All
of
4 fingers.
September. Yes. Fingers crossed. So, yeah. So,
all 4 Gelfling fingers.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, all right. So before we head off, I might just do go through all your, you know, with everyone, and how people can find more of your work. So I'll start with you, Eliane. Oh, where
can we find you?
Yeah. So people can find out more about your work and everything that you've done.
I'm mostly on Instagram.
Yep, on Instagram.
It's Eliane .Torauba, like my name on Facebook. And yes, you can find me.
Cool, excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely put that in the show notes, so the people that want a link, they can check it out. And so thank you so much for being on the show. And Sean, thanks again for being in the show and for starting this whole Thra A Thon. You know, how can people find you?
So the easiest thing to do would be, I'm in quite a few of the Dark Crystal groups on Facebook, but the easiest thing would probably be on Instagram, where I'm under the Angle of Eternity. I also have the Angle of Eternity group on Facebook, which is kind of a small group of people, about 100 right now, and we're doing a lot of kind of deep dives into the mythology and philosophy behind Thra.
Nice, awesome. And of course, Zay, thank you so much for being on the show. And actually, I just want to say thank you for being, you know, continuing being our sponsor for Trial by Stone. So really appreciate your support and everything you've done, you know, to help the podcast, you know, make more of these great shows. So
you're most welcome.
Yeah.
So you can find more good Dark Crystal stuff at the Great Conjunction. So it literally is at the Great Conjunction. So yeah, just trying my best throughout the whole of lockdown to, you know, keep posting fun Dark Crystal stuff, getting involved with things like this, anything I can really, because it, you know, keeps me sane as well, and connecting with all the fans is absolutely lovely. And I just want to say to everyone to come to the page tomorrow evening, probably like 6 o'clock, because there are some very special people that have a message for all the Thralings.
Excellent.
6 o'clock your time, right?
6 o'clock. What will that make at your time, Sydney? Is that a good time for? Where are you? You're on the.
Yeah, I'm in California. So what's that math like? At 6 p.m. in England.
I've got my little clock thing on my phone because
6 p.m. England time.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
3 a.m.
But yeah.
Is that your time or my time?
My time.
Oh my goodness. No way.
That's the time it is now. So 6 p.m. You're an hour ahead of me, aren't you?
Oh, it is 6 p.m. Well, yeah, it's 6 p.m. here right now.
So you're 6 p.m. now. So my 6 p.m. What are you guys? So you're 8 hours behind. But you are like 7 hours ahead. Oh, you're in the future. Creepy.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
That always trips me out.
So I think that'll probably be like first thing in the morning, like maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. But it's okay. It's a Sunday. No one's got work, right?
Nah.
Yeah.
Bit of a lion.
All right. Good to know.
Awesome.
Good to know.
Awesome. No, so thank you so much, Zay. And of course, and for anyone interested, so at thegreatconjunction.com, I think you've got your panels there from the Great Conjunction that happened early in the year. So for anyone that haven't seen them, they're definitely worth a watch. And especially the interview with Brian Meal that you did, yourself and Tobias. Tobias. So.
Oh, everyone has to watch that. If you haven't seen that, what are you waiting for?
I know.
If you're not crying at the end of that Q&A, you have a heart of stone. I literally had to like hold the tears back.
Yeah.
It was emotional.
Definitely,
What was Louise's speech at the end?
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was the best. Yeah. Alrighty. And what about Sydnni? So thank you again, Sydnni. And how can people find you?
I mean, everybody here probably already knows how to find me. I'm on the Crystal Shard. I'm everywhere Philip is, everywhere where Trial by Stone can be found. Find our Patreon and our website. And I'm Black Star Far Dreamer on Instagram. Yeah, that's it. Black Star Far Dreamer, David Bowie, and Dark Crystal reference at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for me, you can just find just on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Dark Crystal Podcast. Twitter's Dark Crystal Pod. And also you can check the website, darkcrystalpodcast.com. That's where all the shows live, or they can find all the shows. But of course, if you can listen to the show on many various platforms with Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and loads of other places you can find the show to hear the audio versions of the show. So, again, I think we'll wrap it up. But again, I think before I go, I probably just want to say, being 1 year, a big congratulations to Netflix and the Jim Henson Company for what they achieved, like with the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. It was such an incredible show, a mammoth task to bring that show to life, and pretty much everyone that worked on the show, like, you knocked it right out of the park. And 1 year later, like, I'm still finding, I think we all agree, like, we still find new things, to explore with the Dark Crystal, and so many discussions. And even with the podcast, like, we're still going through those the character discussions. So we got so much more to cover with the show alone,
Yeah.
Whether or not we get a second season or not, I mean, even the 10 episodes that we got were just amazing, and certainly hoping for more, fingers crossed as always. But again, thank you so much for making the show, and here's to many more, hopefully.
Yeah, and keep watching it. Thra A Thon is still happening. Keep changing the show, everybody.
Yep, and don't forget that hashtag Thra A Thon. So.
Yep.
All right, so from all of us here, thank you so much, and definitely stay tuned for more Trial by Stone. Right, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
If you'd like to get in contact with the show, you can do so at darkcrystalpodcast@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/darkcrystalpodcast. Follow us on Instagram at Dark Crystal Podcast and on Twitter at Dark Crystal Pod. If you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the podcast, write a review on Apple Podcasts, and consider being our Patreon supporter at patreon.com/Dark Crystal Podcast. Thank you all so much, and stay tuned for the next episode of Trial by Stone. This podcast is brought to you by Thames Con, bringing conventions to Oxford and London, including the Great Conjunction, the first ever Dark Crystal convention in the world. For more information, visit their website at www.thegreatconjunction.com.